There lived a man in the village of Umoro. There lived a man named Anami who behaved strangely at funerals. While others cried and mourned, Inami laughed loudly. His laughter wasn't nervous or quiet. It was full of joy, as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. The villagers did not understand it. How could someone laugh when everyone else was grieving? Children ran away from him, and adults whispered behind his back. Some believed he was cursed. Others thought he was simply mad. But Inami never explained his laughter. One morning, the entire village woke to heartbreaking news. Elder Obina, the wisest and kindest man in Umoro, had passed away. Elder Obina was loved by all. When children were hungry, he fed them. When neighbors fought, he made peace. And when the poor cried, he comforted them. His death left the people of Umoro in tears. Plans for a great funeral began. But deep down, the villagers worried about one thing. Would Inami come? And if he did, would he laugh? On the day of the funeral, the villagers gathered under a large tent. Everyone wore black clothes and their faces were full of sorrow. Obina's family sat at the front, crying softly as the priest began the ceremony. Then Inami appeared. He stood at the back in his usual wrinkled shirt and dusty sandals. The villagers held their breath, praying he would behave. But as the priest spoke about Elder Obina's life, Inami burst into laughter. His laughter echoed like thunder. The mourners froze, their eyes wide with shock. Obina's son, Chiki, jumped up in anger. "How dare you laugh at my father's funeral?" he shouted. The villagers murmured furiously, some calling for Inami to be thrown out. But Inami laughed harder, clutching his stomach as though he couldn't stop himself. Chiki stormed towards him. "What is wrong with you? Why do you laugh when we are mourning?" The crowd waited for Inami's answer. Finally, Inami wiped his tears of laughter and spoke softly. "I am not mocking your father. I laugh because I see what you cannot," the villagers gasped. "What do you mean?" they demanded. Inami shook his head. "You would not understand," he said, and then walked away. After the funeral, the villagers couldn't stop talking. Some thought he had a secret. Others believed he was cursed. But Chiki could not forget his words. "He disrespected my father," he said. "I will find out what he meant." Not long after, tragedy struck again. A young woman named Amaka, known for her beauty and kindness, died suddenly. The villagers were heartbroken. Rumors of foul play spread quickly, and once again they whispered nervously, "Will Inami come to the funeral?" At Amaka's burial, Inami appeared. For a moment, he stood quietly, and people thought he would behave. But as the priest prayed, Inami began to laugh again. His unsettling laughter filled the air. Amaka's mother screamed in anger, "Why are you laughing at my daughter's death?" The crowd turned on Inami, furious and confused. Inami stopped, then looked at her with unusual seriousness. "I do not laugh at your daughter," he said. "I laugh because the truth is near." The villagers gasped. "What truth?" they asked. But once again, Inami gave no answer. He turned and walked away. This time, Chiki could not stay silent. He followed Inami and demanded answers. Inami looked at him and said, "The dead do not rest until their stories are told. Your father and Amaka were killed." Chiki froze in disbelief. "What are you saying?" he whispered. Inami nodded. "The dead speak, and I hear their cries. Elder Obina and Amaka's spirits demand justice. At first, Chiki thought Inami was insane, but when he began to investigate, shocking secrets were uncovered: poison, betrayal, and silence. Rumors spread that Inami had powers to hear the voices of the dead. As Chiki dug deeper, he discovered that his father had been poisoned slowly, and Amaka was silenced because she knew the truth. The killer was revealed to be Chiki's own uncle, who had forced a maid named Ada to help him out of fear. With Inami's guidance, Chiki exposed the truth. The elders banished his uncle and Ada from the village forever. Justice was finally served. The villagers began to heal, and Inami was no longer mocked but respected. Chiki planted a tree in memory of his father and Amaka, vowing to keep their stories alive. But one morning Inami disappeared. No one knew where he went. Some said his purpose was fulfilled. As Chiki stood at Inami's empty hut, he heard faint laughter in the breeze. He smiled and whispered, "Thank you, Inami." The man who laughed at funerals was gone, but his legacy lived forever. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more stories. See you in my next video. Bye.